Hey guys, welcome back to some more reviews. The Explorer 4 here, Horrorboy 465, aka Nate Murphy. And I know that this stream is a little bit random. A lot of times when I do streams like this, it kind of just pop up in my head, and I'm like, well, why not make a stream on that? And I was thinking in my head because I was watching a couple of people review Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I don't know why I looked up Mortal Kombat Annihilation reviews. I just wanted to see what people thought about the movie. And, it really got me thinking about another bad movie that was adapted through an anime, or from an anime, should I say. And I kind of felt that these two movies are kind of just similar. So I should probably discuss them both in this live stream because they both have similar problems. Now, granted, you put Mortal Kombat Annihilation next to Dragon Ball Evolution. Those are the two movies I'll be discussing today. You put those movies together, it's pretty obvious which one's the worst one. Granted, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is easily one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but Dragon Ball Evolution kind of falls a little bit lower on that. Or higher, I guess. Whichever way makes it worse is where it falls. And I know that I haven't been doing movie reviews lately. I kind of just wanted to make my channel kind of more active again, so I'll be doing a bunch of random videos here and there, maybe just a bunch of live streams. I'm just not really feeling movie reviews right now, guys. I'm just trying to kind of keep the channel active without really doing movie reviews. I don't really want to do movie reviews right now. There's not really any movies that I want to review. I tried thinking about reviewing Jeepers Creepers films, but I just don't really want to watch those movies. I haven't even really been able to watch Phantasm at all. And those are movies that I really have been wanting to see. But just in general, not been having time to do movie reviews right now. So, I'll have to wait on that. And also, real quick, I'll be opening up a live chat. So if you guys want to comment and stuff like that, I'm about to open up the chat, so you guys can drop your comments if you want. But Dragon Ball Evolution and Mortal Kombat Annihilation, these are two movies that, kind of ruined either a franchise that could have been good or just in general movie that could have been good. Because look at Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it is a sequel to Mortal Kombat. You guys just heard my voice real quick because I just got in the chat. But the chat, I'm right here looking at the chat, so if you guys want to say anything. Unique Cosplay says, hey, what's up? How you doing? We got two viewers. But Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I think, it was a sequel to the original Mortal Kombat film. And, kind of as a sequel, it's just a very weak movie. But I felt that these two movies should have been discussed together because really when I think of two really bad adaptations of something, I think of Mortal Kombat Annihilation and Dragon Ball Evolution because Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a bad freaking conversion to a film from a game, and Dragon Ball Evolution is a bad from an anime. It's a bad conversion from the anime, or adaptation of the anime. I can't think of the word right now, but yeah. So Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Let's kind of just break these movies apart real quick before we get into the actual kind of just discussion of both of them. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is the sequel to Mortal Kombat. Now, out of video game adaptations, I think that Mortal Kombat is the best. The original movie. I feel it's fun. I feel it's entertaining. I feel like it does what the fans wanted it to do. Basing a game like that with such a simple idea and taking it and kind of making it your own thing. I think that's the best thing they could have done with that movie. And what they did with that movie that made it work was they added their own stuff too, but they also managed to add in things that would please the fans. Something that the sequel to Mortal Kombat failed to do because they tried to cram so much into one movie, kind of suffers the same thing that Batman versus Superman suffered from, is where you're trying to cram all this stuff into one movie, and you're not really getting enough either screen time for the characters, or you're not getting good dialogue, you're not getting a good story. So you have those problems. You also have where In the original Mortal Kombat movie, you had interesting characters. You had Johnny Cage, you had Liu Kang, you had Sonya, you had Kano, you had Shang Tsung, and all of the actors nailed the performances. They were the characters. And what was so great about the original Mortal Kombat movie is that it kind of added on to that. It didn't just stop with it being, oh yeah, here's Johnny Cage. We'll make him a typical kind of Hollywood guy. Oh yeah, Sonya. We'll make her typical kind of spec ops type, member. We'll make typical characters. No, they really didn't. They tried to add to the characters, and I can really respect that. Yeah, the effects at times are aged. They really are. If you look back at the original Mortal Kombat movie, they are aged. But it also has a bunch of practical effects. Goro is probably the best way you could do Goro in real life. That was probably the best effect that you could get for Goro. It was practical. It was well done. It was designed well. It looked like Goro. It was Goro. Um, and the original movie had a great soundtrack. You had great fight scenes. You had, like I said, a good plot, a really good story to it. Um, Likable characters. You had character development. You had a bunch of really cool stuff. And then when Mortal Kombat Annihilation came out, I guess that they gave the people less money to make it, and they were expecting it to make more money than the first movie. So I have no clue why they would try to do that. I really don't. I'm guessing that maybe you could profit times two without spending as much money as you did in the first movie. But that just already makes it a bad movie because you can tell they're just doing it for the money. And it's so obvious in this movie. So I guess the second movie was given less money than the first, which is already a big problem. And I think it was shot in a very short amount of time. The first movie came out in 95. The second one came out in 97. So they were filming about 96. So the very next year they were filming, and then they released a year after that. So real, at least it didn't come out in 96 because then that would have been a really rushed sequel. But I do think it was still rushed. And this Mortal Kombat Annihilation is such a bad movie. I mean, you look at the effects in the movie and they are laughable. Like the original movie had one bad effect for me. One bad effect, and that was Reptile. Reptile in that movie was awful. But besides that, I honestly did not mind the green screen effects in that movie. It wasn't that bad for the time that it was made, for the budget they had. You know, I thought that they did the best they could with those effects, the green screen effects. But I will give the original Mortal Kombat this, or I will say this about it. It does have bad effects with Reptile. Reptile looks like garbage in that movie. And I love that movie, but I can say that. It does look like garbage. But in this movie, you take the effects that Reptile had and you bump it up to about 1,000. And that's what you get in this movie. Just horrendous, awful effects that look like they cost maybe $5 to do. And really, with the lack of budget, so the producers, they gave the movie less money, but they expected it to be a bigger movie than the first movie. And that's just a huge problem because, first of all, if you're expecting it to be a bigger movie, they wanted more creatures, they wanted more fight scenes, they wanted a grander scale to it, they wanted it to be bigger than the first movie, but they gave it less money. So ultimately, yeah, you're getting, thousands of people fighting Johnny Cage and Liu Kang and Sonya at the beginning of the movie. You have him falling from the sky. You have, let's have Shao Kahn and there's lightning and thunder everywhere. Let's have Outworld, but we're gonna give you guys less money. So ultimately, I can't blame the effects team for that. I mean, I can, but I'm gonna be at least a little bit nice to the effects team because, they did what they could this movie. And I just don't understand that move from the producers. Why would you expect this movie to be a bigger movie if you give it less money? You should give it more money, and then maybe it would become a big success. And actually, I think this movie made back its budget. I'm actually going to look real quick and see if they did, but I think they made a decent amount of money. Actually, no. In the U.S., it made about 35 million, cost about 30 million, so it did have a decent budget to it. And I think total, how much did it make total? I can't really see. But opening weekend made about 17 million. That's pretty bad. Ultimately, I think it grossed back 36 million, so it really wasn't even close to being a hit. But you know, I watched the movie a long time ago, and for some reason, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but back in the day, I used to be a really big fan of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and I didn't know why. I really don't know why. I think it was like I liked the energy to the movie or something like that. I liked the score. I liked the fight scenes and the action. And looking back in the movie now, I can say that it does have some pretty good fight scenes. I will say that. That's why I say when you compare Mortal Kombat Annihilation to Dragon Ball Evolution, which we'll get to that later, but when you compare these two, it's kind of like the obvious worst one is Dragon Ball Evolution because there's nothing good in the movie. But Mortal Kombat Annihilation, even though it has good things to it, it can't find ways to fit these good things into the movie. It instead has these really random fight scenes that, yes, are well choreographed. They're really good matchups. Like you have Cyrax versus Jax, and Sonya's fighting these, people over here. Shao Kahn versus Liu Kang. You have Sonya, Jax, Raiden versus Shiva, Motaro, and I think Ermac is either Ermac or Raiden. I think it was Ermac. I can't remember. But I think Ermac uses the powers like of Noob, where he kind of makes a shadow or a clone of himself. So, you have that. So you had some good matchup. You had some good fight scenes. You had hard hitting scenes. Um, you did have some decent characters. Liu Kang was pretty good in the movie, acting wise, fighting wise. He didn't do squat. But Robin Shao from Mortal Kombat 1, he's also from Beverly Hills Ninja. Big fan of Robin Shao. He played Liu Kang the best he could in this movie. Also, Talisa Soto as Katana was great. I am not a fan of James Remar as Raiden. I'm just not. I felt that he did not seem like Raiden at all, especially after the freaking halfway point in the movie. He becomes a whole different character. He is no longer Raiden. I'm not a fan of him as Raiden. Um, I thought that Christopher Lambert was a way better Raiden than James Remar. Um, Also, Sandra Hess as Sonya Blade. I don't mind her. Lynn Red Williams as Jax did a fantastic job. The rest of these people are pretty bad. Um, and there's just so much to discuss about this movie. But you do have some good fight scenes. Go back to the positive. You have good fight scenes. You have decent acting from Liu Kang, from Katana, from Jax, from Sonya. Decent acting. You have some decent ideas. I like the idea of Shao Kahn coming into the play. I like Shao Kahn's. I like how Shao Kahn's world kind of merges with Earthrealm. I like that. That's a pretty creative idea. Granted, it copies a game, but I like that idea. It's cool to see it play out in a movie, just not played out very well. But it's a good idea. Um, I like some of the music. I like the energy to the movie. It kind of is shot, I guess, kind of MTV, but the original movie did that well, and this movie I thought carried over that tone very good. It kind of is shot pretty well. Granted, like I said, MTV style, but I thought it fit the movie. But the movie just has like 1,000 problems with it. I mean, you got probably the worst enemy in these movies. You have Brian Thompson playing Shao Kahn, and Brian Thompson, I think he was in more movies. He was in Joe Dirt. He was in Dragonheart. He was in Cobra. But man, in this movie, he was bad, really bad as Shinnok. Not Shinnok, Shao Kahn. Or Shinnok's in this movie, who's also bad. But man, he hams it up too much. He really does. His acting is just way, way over the top in this movie. I am not a fan of not James Remar. Brian Thompson as Shao Kahn, horrible. And then you have Shinnok, which is Shao Kahn's father, Reiner Schroen playing Shinnok. He was horrible because just like Shao Kahn, he overacts way too much. Way too much. And you have Sindel, Musetta Vander playing Sindel. I'm not a fan of her. I'm not a fan of the girl who played Jade. I'm not a fan of the people who played Nightwolf and Shiva and Mataro. Johnny Cage was replaced by Chris Conrad, this generic-looking person. It's like, oh, he looks like Johnny Cage. Put him in there. It's like, man, without freaking the guy from the original movie, got to get his name because he played Johnny Cage very well. Lyndon Ashby, who was also in a crappy movie called Prom Night, the remake, horrible movie. But yeah, he was probably the best Johnny Cage put on film. Because he played that character, yeah, he was a Hollywood guy, but he added more to that character. He made him serious. He made it to where when he was serious in a fight, he was a dangerous fighter. You had that moment where he kind of, showed the world who he really was. He fought Goro, he beat Goro, threw him off the cliff, did that. What happens in this movie? Johnny Cash in the movie. Johnny Cage gets his neck snapped in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Yeah, they kill off Johnny Cage at the very beginning of this freaking movie. And I haven't done a review of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, so I want to save all that rage for when I get to that review. But they kill off Johnny Cage in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Shao Kahn just snaps his neck. Which I didn't care anyways because the guy who played him sucked. Just a generic looking guy. Like, oh yeah, he looks like Johnny Cage, so he's Johnny Cage. Like, no, it's freaking generic. The girl who played Sonya in this movie did a good job, but it was just so weird seeing like half the cast like not even come back. No Sonya from the original, no Johnny Cage from the original, no Raiden from the original. And you got a bunch of these random actors playing these new characters, and it's like, it's weird. While watching it, it's just very weird. It's very off-putting when you're watching. You're just like, man, yeah, the girl who played Sonya did a good job, but man, the girl in the original was much better. Raiden sucks in this movie. Like, you have all those problems. You have freaking awful, awful CGI. There's a bunch of times, at the end of the movie, you have animality, which is a cool idea. These people transforming into animals and fighting. Okay. Kind of the animal, I guess, that they become is like in the games, it was like Nightwolf became a wolf, Liu Kang became a dragon. I think Scorpion was a penguin, if I'm not mistaken, which is weird. But you had like a spider, you had birds and stuff like that in the games. I think it was Mortal Kombat 3 that introduced that. But in the games, it was fun. Here, it's like you're taking the idea that could be fun, could be interesting to see Liu Kang, this dragon, versus Shao Kahn, this giant demon creature. Sounds good on paper, but I swear to you, when you see it in the movie, it's horrible. It's literally some of the worst effects I've seen on creatures. And, what's cool about the games is that when Liu Kang became a dragon, it was kind of like the dragon from the logo from the movie, from the Mortal Kombat series, the dragon logo. Here, the dragon looks nothing like that. And Liu Kang in this movie, who kicked butt in the last movie, gets his butt kicked throughout the whole movie. There's literally only like one fight that he wins. I guess technically 2 if you count him beating Jade. But that wasn't really even a fight. It was more like just her trying to test him, I guess. But really, if you think about it, Liu Kang only wins one fight. That's when he fights Shao Kahn. And he finally beats him. And throughout the rest of this movie, what does Liu Kang do? He gets beat up. Smoke shows up, beats him up. Nightwolf shows up, throws a tomahawk at him, knocks him out. People mentioned they didn't even get a bruise or a mark from it. He got a tomahawk thrown out his face, but no bruise or mark or no blood, nothing. So you got Nightwolf knocking him out. You got Jade beating the crap out of Liu Kang. Jade. Granted, fan of the character, but Jade beating up Liu Kang, Smoke beating up Liu Kang. What the freak is this? You know? It's like doesn't make sense. You're having Liu Kang get his butt kicked the whole film. He's getting whooped around, and at the end of the movie, you're supposed to be like, "Oh yeah, he's fighting back." No, 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 no. Rocky did that well, where you had Rocky getting punched, he's getting beat up, but he's still going. Here, nothing. You're just pretty much like, "Oh, he's getting beat up. Oh, he's getting beat up." And the reason it's like that is because in the last movie, he was actually fighting. He was winning fights. He beat Reptile. Yeah, Reptile gave him a good fight, but he beat Reptile. He beat Sub-Zero. He beat ultimately Shang Tsung. He fought these people and beat them. You had that part where he fought the guy at the pole, the pole fight, where he's fighting with the poles. Beat that guy. Here in this movie, he gets whooped. Every fight, it seems like. Every fight he's in, he's getting whooped around. Liu Kang, pretty much the lead character of this series, is getting whooped around like a little you-know-what. And it's like, I don't get that. I don't get that choice from the writers. Like, why would you do that? So you have that. You have the story that goes nowhere. It doesn't know where it's going at all. And just a lot of problems. But with Dragon Ball Evolution, bringing that into the picture finally, it kind of suffers from the same thing, the fact that it kind of mocks what it's trying to adapt. It doesn't pay attention to what the fans want. It's clearly not knowing what it is. It's silly. It's goofy. It has horrible effects, horrible acting. Granted, way worse than Annihilation, but still pretty bad. And that's why I always think about these movies. I'm like, oh yeah, bad video game adaptation, the worst one. Oh, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, because I know that Street Fighter is out there. I know, I've heard it was horrible, but I haven't seen it yet because it does not interest me. As I think it looks goofy and I want to watch it. But I know that there is a Street Fighter series out there with like three movies that are all bad from what I've heard. So I get there's those movies, but so far out of all the adaptations I've seen of video games, or actually I take that back. The best video game adaptation for me is Silent Hill. I still think that. I forgot about that movie, but Silent Hill, I know this is random, but kind of popped in my head. Silent Hill is the best video game adaptation. Mortal Kombat is the second best, but it's a very close second best. But the worst one is Annihilation, because like Dragon Ball Evolution, it doesn't care what the fans want. It doesn't really apply that to the film. It's stupid. It's silly. It doesn't know where the story is going. The story is all over the place. With Dragon Ball Evolution, though, you have the people, the creators of Dragon Ball, upset with your movie. You have the writer. These are all facts. You have the writer publicly apologizing for the film. You have voice actors, the English voice actors from Funimation. They hated the movie. They've even had videos where you have the guy who played Krillin, the guy who played Goku and Vegeta. They've publicly said that they don't like Dragon Ball Evolution. That's how terrible Dragon Ball Evolution is. So that's kind of why it's kind of unfair to bring Dragon Ball Evolution into the mix. It's like, well, obviously it's worse. Yeah, but it does suffer from similar things. In the movie, it's supposed to be the beginning of Dragon Ball story. First of all, the beginning of the Dragon Ball story had Goku as a kid. He had a tail. He didn't know what girls were. He didn't know what the outside world was. Throughout the series, he discovered new things. He kind of became an Earthling slowly. He kind of just knew what he found out all that stuff throughout the series. That's what made it interesting. What do they do in the movie? It's the beginning of the story. Goku is a teenager. He's in high school. He is your most typical teen that you could ever freaking have in a movie. where he's like, "Oh, I want a girlfriend, but I don't want to, be a nerd. And how do I talk to the girls?" He literally has a conversation with his grandpa Gohan on how to get the girl. He's like, "Oh yeah, how do you get the girl? How do I get the girl? I want to be normal." And his grandpa's like, "Normal is overrated." And they just completely insult Dragon Ball in this movie because, you know, Annihilation is not as bad, but it's still pretty bad. But in this movie, they completely just disgrace Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball series. So bad, actually, that Akira Toriyama, is that how you say his name? He wanted to make. I'm gonna look up Dragon Ball real quick. I feel like I've said that name wrong. But Akira Toriyama, I think that's how you say his name, wanted to make Battle of the Gods so that he could kind of wash away the bad taste of Evolution. That is terrible. That is terrible that you literally have everybody involved with the anime that you were basing your movie off of, which, by the way, was a Hollywood film. It was a Hollywood film. It wasn't direct to DVD. It wasn't a fan film. It wasn't a low budget little ripoff. It was called Dragon Ball. You had Goku. You had everybody in there. Not everybody, but most of the characters from the original story in there. You had all this potential. Dragon Ball could be a great movie. Stop and think about it. You take people who actually know what the freak they're doing, like not even just anime wise, but filmmaking wise. James Wong, I think during the review I did for, I think I did when I did the review for Dragon Ball Evolution, I think I called James Wong James Wan by accident. But James Wan is a much better director. I'm sorry, he is. James Wong, granted, the first Final Destination, I'm a huge fan of. He made the one. I haven't seen that. Final Destination 3 was decent. It wasn't anything special, but it was decent. His best movie is Final Destination. Ever since then, all he's done is X-Files, The Event, and Tower Prep. All those things I don't watch, so I don't know. But for some reason, they got James Wong to direct Dragon Ball Evolution. I have no freaking clue why. Because I'm sorry, Final Destination should not give you the right to make a Dragon Ball movie. I think the big thing with this movie is that they didn't treat it as big as they should have. It was literally people just like, oh, this is the producers. Oh yeah, I watched this show on TV the other day. It's called Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, you had this guy named Goku. He kind of did this thing called a Kamehameha. They probably don't even say it. They're probably like the Kamehameha blast, and he kind of blasts out like that, and he fights this guy named Piccolo. It was so cool. Let's make it into a movie. And they're like, well, let's add in this, let's add in that. Let's make the Kamehameha wave a revival power where it can revive somebody. It's also pretty bad to know. I seen some footage from Dragon Ball Evolution, the PSP video game. I was expecting much worse than I saw. It looks honestly like a Budokai game. If you look at Budokai and you're a fan of Budokai, Dragon Ball Evolution, the PSP game, kind of reminds me of that. It's built the same way as a Budokai game, which I'm a fan of that. The game, yeah, it looks a little repetitive. You only get like one move. You get an endless, not endless, but a repeating end cutscene for Goku when he wins a fight. You get stuff like that. You get characters that are based off of the ones in the movie that look terrible. But the effects in the PSP game look better than the effects in the movie. The backgrounds for the fight scenes or the fight segments in the game look better than the background set designs in the movie. And that's why Dragon Ball Evolution is so bad, because it wasn't treated like it should have been. It wasn't like some fans got together and said, okay, we're going to put actual good actors in there, not Justin Chatwin as Goku. What else was he in? World of the Worlds? What else? I don't freaking know. And honestly, I don't care because in this movie he was horrible. I like how when I got this DVD, I think I broke the DVD or something like that. I might have sold it. I'm not too sure. I either sold it or I broke it. I can't remember. But when I had DVD, it had a feature on there called, it was like an acting feature, like, oh yeah, Justin Chatwin, how did you learn how to act and what's your method? I'm like, his method is playing horrible characters, obviously. I'm like, how are you going to do a actor documentary or a featurette on Justin Chatwin, the freaking worst actor in the freaking movie, and try to say, what's your method? He ain't got no method. His method is, oh yeah, I'm getting paid to play Goku, and yeah, I'll just his name is Goku. I think his blast is the Kamehameha. And if you watch the behind the scenes features, he doesn't even like he knows what Dragon Ball is. He's just like, oh yeah, playing Goku is so cool. Goku's this, Goku's that. I'm like, you don't even know who the freak Goku is. I'm like, none of these freaking producers either. They were just like, oh yeah, we can make money off of this. Let's give it a low budget. I mean, I think it had a decent amount of money behind it actually, so I can't say low budget. Had about 30 million, the same budget as Annihilation, really enough. But it had $30 million. You have $30 million. I think an average Marvel movie gets about I don't know, 90 million, 100 million maybe. Not 100 million, probably 90 million, 80 million, something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure that Marvel movies get a lot of money. In general, just a lot of money to watch or to make these movies. Here is my idea to make a good Dragon Ball movie. First of all, go watch after the stream or during the stream, kind of just pull it up a little bit. Go watch Dragon Ball Z Light of Hope. That should have been a movie. Go watch Dragon Ball Z The Saiyan Saga fan film. That should have been this movie. Those are fan films that look 100% better than this movie. Do you know how sad that is? Dragon Ball, the most popular anime of all time. You bring it to America and you make it the most mediocre, the most bland, generic, just dull, boring, goofy, silly, stupid, incoherent movies out there. And for me, it's an insult because, I don't watch anime all the time. I watch, Fullmetal Alchemist, Dragon Ball Z, good one called Parasite, Seven Deadly Sins, the good ones. I watch a lot of the mainstream ones, I guess, but really good ones. And as a Dragon Ball fan, I was watching Dragon Ball when I was a little kid. I used to play the games when I was a little kid. I grew up with Dragon Ball. It was a big part of my life. And you make this movie, which back when I was a kid, back when this came out about 9, 10 years old, I was hyped for it. And yeah, I seen it when I was younger, and yeah, I liked it because I didn't really know, what to look for in a bad movie. So when I go back and watch it now, it's like horrible. But Dragon Ball is one of the biggest animes out there. You bring it to the US, you're gonna put it on the big screen. A Hollywood-made movie. James Wong, why? This cast, Justin Chatwin isn't just the only bad actor. Young Fat Chow's Roshi, he's gotten positive thoughts. I thought he was bad. I thought he was horrible. I thought his acting was terrible. Overacting as Roshi so much. He barely seemed like Roshi. Emmy Rossum playing Bulma is horrible as a horrible actress. She's boring. She's dull. She's uninteresting. Jamie Chung playing Chi-Chi, did not care for her. She didn't even seem like she was Chi-Chi. She was just playing a character named Chi-Chi. She didn't even really make it seem like she was playing the character Chi-Chi. Just a character Chi-Chi. You have June Park playing Yamcha. And I think he was dubbed. Wasn't he dubbed? I can't remember if he was dubbed or not. June Park. Freaking June Park playing Yamcha. Who the freak is June Park? Freaking Speed Racer. He's only been in 9 things. Speed Racer, the Case of the Midnight Murderer, and a bunch of TV stuff.
freaking can't believe freaking June Park playing Yamcha, only because he had this bro voice. Well, what's up, bro? Yamcha here, bro. Which I get it. Yamcha's kind of like that in the anime. He's kind of like this bro character, this character who, has fun all the time and, is full of himself and stuff like that. But in this movie, it's just overacting. Literally, the only trait that he has is he's a bro. He's a broski. He says bro all the time and hits on Bulma. I guess is kind of similar to the anime in the manga. I guess. Freaking June Park playing Yamcha. My goodness. You got Mai played by Eriko Tamura. She's given nothing to do. She literally is a throwaway character. Grandpa Gohan, Randall Duke Kim, horrible. The only good actor that was in this movie, really, if you think about it, is James Marsters as Piccolo. I'm not really a big fan of Piccolo's design in this movie because it doesn't look like Piccolo. It looks like just a generic bad guy. But James Marsters, at least he added emotion to his acting. At least he acted like a good evil Piccolo. You had him playing Piccolo, good actor playing Piccolo, but still didn't care for the character. But, he's probably the best actor in the movie. And he does get a lot of credit for that, and he deserves it. He really is the best actor in this movie. But, man, you have that. You have freaking Goku doing the Kamehameha wave at the end of the movie. It's supposed to be a big, rousing moment, and you have him do the lamest looking Kamehameha wave where it looks cheap. It looks fake. It looks like if I got on here, took $5 to make this effect, that's what it looked like. That's what it freaking looked like. The Kamehameha wave, and he flies up, and like a freaking Superman, like flies up, and Piccolo kind of just explodes, and it's all in CGI, and it all sucks. And then when Goku lands, freaking the set design behind him looks like it's a bunch of plastic behind him. And when he wears his gi or his costume from the anime, yeah, that's how much of a nerd I am for Dragon Ball Z. I actually know that his costume is called a gi, or their fighting gear is called a gi. But his gi or his fighting gear, he looks like a freaking toothpick. All right, Goku in the anime was this like character who fought for good. He was strong. He was there. He cared about what he was fighting for. Here, Justin Chatwin is a freaking toothpick. His freaking pants are all baggy. His freaking gi looks really weird on Justin Chatwin. His hair, literally, it's like they freaking took his hair and they're like, oh yeah, look at Goku's hair. It's kind of like spiky and stuff. Let's just take his hair and go like this and make it spiked up. And I swear, they build it up like he's gonna go Super Saiyan. And then they make his hair spiky, but they keep it kind of the black, darker color. I'm like, so did he go Super Saiyan? Did he not go Super Saiyan? What's going on here? When he powers up, it looks like crap. But yeah, he looks like a freaking toothpick. Looks like Justin Chatwin looks like he's totally uninterested in the role. Doesn't really freaking know what he's doing. He's like, oh, when's the next lunch break? Freaking horrible, man. I can't believe how much they screwed up Evolution. And I did a review on this movie. It was 30 minutes long. Still can't get it out of my freaking head. It's freaking horrible. Diamond Love, I dropped you a like. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Just responding to a comment real quick. But freaking, how do you ruin such a big thing? That's the thing. Okay, how to fix this movie? People are like, well, if it's so bad, how would you fix it? First of all, get an actor to play. I would think, honestly, get Asian actors to play these characters. Get better Asian actors. Because Goku is not freaking white in the anime. I would get Asian actors, and I would get them speaking English, and I would get where you actually got somebody who looks like Goku, just naturally. You ain't got to find somebody who looks exactly like Goku, but just get somebody with charisma. Get somebody with kind of where they can have that character where they're kind of innocent, you know, or do it how Dragon Ball did it. Have Goku be a kid. Have a kid, you know, with a tail, the monkey boy tail, whatever that was, which is based. I think it was based off of the story called like the Monkey Boy or whatever. I can't remember. But give him the tail. Have a little kid play Goku. Don't make him annoying. Just make it to where he's lighthearted and, you know, like how he is in the anime. Have kind of a teenager girl playing Bulma. Them going off and finding the Dragon Balls. It ain't gonna be shot for shot for the anime, but you can do your own thing with it. But don't totally take it and disregard what the anime has, because literally the only thing that they have in this movie is the names of the characters. Goku's gi kind of looks like his gi from the anime. The best thing is the Dragon Balls, because they actually look like legit Dragon Balls from the anime. You know, I like the idea of having the stars move around in the Dragon Balls. It looked cool. They were cool. The Dragon Balls in this movie were pretty cool. Besides that, oh yeah, they don't even mention the fact that well, actually, they do. I was gonna say they don't even mention the fact that you can get all 7 of them together and grant a wish, but they actually do. That's one thing they actually got right in this movie. But they freaking use it horribly because it's like it becomes pointless. It's like, oh yeah, let's go on a quest to find these Dragon Balls, but we're gonna have Roshi die and then brought back to life. It makes it all pointless. You know what movie did that better? Dragon Ball Path to Power. That is probably my favorite Dragon Ball movie, besides Battle of Gods. I'll say this: it's my favorite Dragon Ball movie. Dragon Ball Z wise, and Battle of Gods. But Dragon Ball wise, Path to Power is good. Path to Power earned that ending. You had great fight scenes. You actually had somebody playing a good Goku, you know, voice acting wise, and it was Goku, and it was Bulma, and it was Yamcha. You know? And yeah, in that movie, it's like they get the Dragon Balls together, and ultimately they resurrect the android, but still, it feels more better than freaking this movie. It's horrible, man. Freaking horrible. And what else does this movie have? Freaking horrible acting. You got freaking Young Fat Chow. You have a scene where he looks at the camera and he kind of goes like, he's like laughing, this over the top laugh. And then Goku says, "My grandpa Gohan died." And he like stops and literally stares into the camera for 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes, but 5 seconds. I'm like, what was that? And you have in that scene probably the worst acting I've seen. Well, not really. It's not as bad as Creepshow 3's acting, but, you know, one of the worst scenes I've ever seen an actor portray, where Justin Chatwin is literally stumbling over his lines. He is forgetting his lines as he is, you know, walking through them. He is very lazily delivering them. He has no emotion to his lines. He's struggling. He's like, my grandpa Gohan died, and we're looking for Dragon Balls to get the wish from Shenron, and we need your help, Roshi. And then they freaking, I kid you not, and the next scene they mention airbending. I kid you not, I could be wrong, but I swear to you, they mention airbending in a Dragon Ball movie. Airbending. Way off, wrong anime. Plus, they already got a bad movie anyways, but still, not nearly as bad as Dragon Ball Evolution. It's probably the worst anime adaptation I've seen. I haven't seen Death Note, but then again, I haven't seen the Death Note anime series, so I don't know if I'll watch that or not. I heard it's a pretty bad adaptation as well. The Fullmetal Alchemist adaptation, live action adaptation, I heard was pretty bad as well, no lie. I did hear that was pretty bad. But still, this movie is just horrible because they totally trash what makes Dragon Ball interesting. And to get back to what I was saying before, where, you know, how I improve this movie, how do I improve Dragon Ball Evolution? Get good actors, get actual fans of the anime involved, good effects, get an actually good effects team, have a good score, have a great story, pay attention to what the anime did, and actually do a good adaptation. It's that simple. I wasn't asking for a 5-star freaking Titanic and Gone with the Wind and oh, this took the sound of music, 5-star performances. I wasn't asking for that. All I wanted, as a Dragon Ball fan, was a story that at least mostly followed the story from the original. To have characters seem like characters from the anime. To have good fight scenes. To have actual martial arts used in the film. Because you're thinking about it, there really isn't. All of it is freaking slow-mo and that silly scene where you have Goku pretty much in Lava Land throwing monsters that look like crap in oh my gosh, I'm about to freaking break something. Okay, so they're in Lava Land. It's like Goku, Yamcha, Bulma, whatever. Goku takes one of the monsters and throws him into the lava lake, I guess. Lava. He throws him in the lava. Takes like 4 other monsters. Does the same thing. Makes a freaking bridge in lava. Do the bodies float away? No. Do they melt? No. Does Goku even have a good fight with them? No. It cuts away so much that when it cuts back, Goku's like, oh yeah, I'm done fighting. I'm like, what the freak? You couldn't even... Oh my gosh. I would say as Mortal Kombat Annihilation, to get similar to those worst scenes, you have freaking the scene where Sub-Zero flies in on this freaking... They could not take out the wire in the movie. You know what they did? They put ice on it. They put ice on it so that when Sub-Zero flies down, he's obviously on a wire. They put ice on it. Ice effect. You have Baraka showing up, looking like crap, wearing a freaking $2 mask. Look way better in the freaking game. Look creepy in the game. Baraka is a creepy character, if you think about it. What do they do in the movie? He shows up. There's actually 5 Barakas for some reason, which I get. There's multiple Barakas, technically speaking. But Baraka is kind of like the leader of them all, right? Well, Baraka shows up, fights, is it Liu Kang or was it Sony? I can't remember. But loses in like 3 seconds. And you know what they freaking do? There's earlier in the freaking movie in Mortal Kombat Annihilation where Rain gets thrown into a fire. And that's literally all that Rain does in that movie. So when Baraka falls into these flames, what do they do? What do they do? They reuse the shot from Rain's death scene. Literally, you go back and you watch Annihilation, watch Rain's death scene, watch that shot of him falling into the fire, go to not Dragon Ball Evolution, go to the part where, I almost said go to another movie, but go to the ending of the movie where they fight Baraka and they throw him into the fire, slow-mo that shot, slow-mo it. It's Rain. It's not even Baraka. Freaking lazy filmmaking right there. Both these movies have lazy filmmaking. What else do you have? You have the $5 fight scene between Liu Kang and Shao Kahn. You have Shinnok not doing jack crap in the movie. Just being in the background and having horrible acting. You have Raiden cutting his hair, wearing different clothes, acting hip. He's like, oh, I got a new look. Freaking, oh gosh, guys. These movies are just getting me so mad and rageful. Seriously, I have never witnessed, besides Creepshow 3, I have never witnessed such silliness in films. Creepshow 3 is, horrible. Horrible. But still, not nearly as bad as, these movies are not nearly as bad as that. But pretty much, I don't know, man. Like, you think about that scene right there. You have the scene where, hold on, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Someone is knocking on my door. But what else do we have in Mortal Kombat Annihilation? I can get mad at Mortal Kombat Annihilation too. It didn't get in the way so easy. You got the freaking part where, what is it, like Shao Kahn is like saying these lines at the beginning of the movie. And he's like, annihilate them, and we will take down the earth, and we will do this, and we will do that. Generic bad guy lines. Granted, Shao Kahn in the games was kind of the same thing, only better. You know, and Shao Kahn in the games, you know, was a big, huge character. In this movie, I'm sorry, but Shao Kahn in this movie is a little puny guy wearing the costume. You know the helmet that Shao Kahn wears in the games? He barely wears it in the movie, and it looks horrible when he does wear it. You have freaking Shiva and Motaro in the movie look horrible. You have Ermac pretty much being the B word to Shao Kahn, and Ermac is a pretty popular character. You know, he's got a cult following, I guess you would say. And you have him in this movie pretty much taking orders from Shao Kahn the whole movie. Rain gets killed in the first 5 seconds. You have a part where Ermac lets out Noob, which, by the way, Noob is the resurrected dead body of the original Sub-Zero from the games, and the current Sub-Zero is his brother. So in this movie, you have Sub-Zero's brother, which you can tell because of the scar. That's Sub-Zero's brother. He even says that in the movie, he's Sub-Zero's brother. And then he fights Scorpion. And then even that scene, you have Scorpion looking silly as heck, looking cheesy as heck, looks some Power Rangers effect we're talking about here. And I don't mean to offend anybody who happens to be a Power Rangers fan. I am not a fan of Power Rangers. I think it's cheesy. I think it just looks bad. And I never got into Power Rangers. But Power Rangers effects on Scorpion. He has his freaking mask on. It has a little mouth on it. It looks terrible. CGI spears coming out of his hands. Horrible sounding voice for Scorpion. And literally disappearing characters. That's a big thing in this movie as well. It's disappearing characters. Sub-Zero shows up, fights, disappears. Freaking Melina shows up, fights, gets freaking, taken out. Smoke appears, gets taken out. Jade barely in the movie. Baraka showing up, getting killed. Nightwolf showing up, disappearing. Who else? There's a lot of characters that do that throughout the movie. They just show up, they do one thing, and disappear. They go away. And they vanish in the middle. They vanish in the night. You know, they become the night, the warrior of the night. It's like, why are these characters vanishing? I guess they were also, their idea was to get Cabal in the movie. They were going to get, Sector and Stryker, and they couldn't get all the characters in there. But yet they still tried to cram all this stuff into one movie. And you have the storyline going everywhere. It doesn't really know where it's going. So yeah, I got lots of problems with Annihilation as well. It's a freaking disgrace of a movie. But Dragon Ball Evolution, I think, would win this battle totally. I think Dragon Ball Evolution is just horrible. Because they took pretty much everything that was good about Dragon Ball and they made it crappy. They made it horrible. They made it mediocre. They made it a laughing stock. And I am not a fan of that at all. And in Dragon Ball Evolution, you have freaking where he turns into, was it Hazaru? Was it Hazaru? Hazaro or something like that? Which is from the original anime, which is pretty cool. They actually did that from the original anime, shockingly. But the effect looked like crap. It was horrible. And then you got when Justin Chatwin is angry, his freaking forehead has like a million veins. And he gives, people have said this before, Chris Stuckman said it, the poop face, where he looks like he's taking a dump. And you have these bullies, they're bullying him, and, horrible actors. And you had that scene at the party where I guess all these bullies know advanced martial arts. We're doing freaking flips and kicks from freaking the Raid Redemption, Ong Bak. You've seen those movies doing the same thing. Like, I guess you know martial arts. I guess they all take advanced martial arts in their spare time. You have Goku beating them up in a silly fashion where he literally freaking this is a freaking scene in the movie where he gets in the car and he slides back, and you see him slide back on the car on his head and makes the bullies destroy their cars pretty much. And then you have that scene where the bullies are right here. They both swing these poles. Goku does this horrible looking flip, and they both hit each other. And literally, how many fight scenes are there in Dragon Ball Z alone? Probably like, what, 80, 70, 80 fights, something like that. How many fights are in Dragon Ball Evolution? You have him fighting Gohan for like 30 seconds. You have him fighting the bullies. You have him fighting Piccolo, fighting Evil Chi-Chi for like 20 seconds. When he fights Piccolo, he gets like 3 hits in, and he's already freaking, oh man, I'm all damaged up. I'm like, you got 3 hits in on Piccolo. Piccolo hit him once, and he's already worn out. That's your final battle in the movie, by the way, guys. Goku hitting Piccolo 3 times, and then a Kamehameha wave to blow up Piccolo. That's your freaking ending. That is your ending to a Dragon Ball adaptation. When in the anime, Goku versus Piccolo was intense. You know, it was rough, it was intense, it was a long battle. There's a lot going on, a lot of power moves. Here, Piccolo does a generic blast, and Goku does a Kamehameha wave, and he flies like Superman towards Piccolo. So yeah, you have him fighting Grandpa Gohan for 30 seconds. Not even that, 15 seconds. Evil Chi-Chi, 10 seconds. Fighting the lava monsters, 5 seconds. Piccolo, 2 minutes. This is your fight scenes in a Dragon Ball movie. At least in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I could watch it for some good fight scenes. You know, granted, most of them have Liu Kang getting beat up, but you had that fight scene where Reptile is fighting Raiden and them, and I think even Reptile has a noob form where a noob kind of just shows up and fights for him. I'm like, what the freak? You have Smoke versus Liu Kang. That was actually a pretty good fight. Cyrax versus Jackson and Sonya. That was good. You know, the whole lineup fight where you have Jax, Sonya, and Raiden versus Motaro, Shiva, and Ermac. Good fight. You know, it was a pretty decent fight when I got to the point where it was, you know, Shao Kahn versus Liu Kang. I liked the idea of that fight. Granted, it wasn't the best, but I liked the idea. It was a good build-up to that fight. Dragon Ball Evolution, none of the fight scenes are actually good. You think about it, there's probably only over 10 minutes worth of fight scene. Not even that. 8 minutes. 7 minutes. Something like that. Something low. I don't want to make it too high for the freaking fight scenes. Oh my gosh. You have, what else do we have? Horrible green screen. Some of the cheapest looking sets I've ever seen. Some of the most cringe-worthy dialogue I've ever heard. Stuff not making sense. Plot holes everywhere. The whole Dragon Ball plot becoming completely irrelevant and completely useless. Goku, played by Justin Chatwin, alone is bad, but you also have Bulma. You also have Chi-Chi and Yamcha. And I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of the guy who played Roshi either. The whole cast sucks. But James Marshall as Piccolo. That's sad. Even in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, you had Katana, you had Liu Kang, you had the guy who played Sub-Zero was decent. Jax. Those are really the only decent characters, but still, at least it had some. In Evolution, it was like maybe Piccolo. Horrible, guys. Freaking horrible. It was completely just disregarded from the Dragon Ball, you know, makers. You know, the Akira Toriyama hated it. He made Battle of Gods to wash the bad taste of Evolution out of everybody's mouths. He made a great movie, and it will forever replace Evolution. That's why he made Battle of Gods, because Evolution was horrible. It was a disgrace. It's pretty bad when the voice actors verbally on video say they hate the movie. The creators of the manga and anime hate the movie. Everybody involved with the source material hates the movie. But it's just, I don't know. They're both bad movies. They both have similar problems, but I want to discuss them here tonight. And Mortal Kombat Annihilation, just overall, it's stupid, it's silly, it's awful, it's horrible. It doesn't really follow source material itself. It just sucks. Both these movies freaking suck and they're horrible. But I wanted to discuss them tonight with you guys because they do bear some similarities. They both ignore source material. Evolution does it more, but Annihilation does it too. They're both stupid. They're both the worst versions of their adaptations. They are both filled with horrible acting. They both have horrible editing, horrible effects, horrible everything, pretty much, as far as effects go. They both have horrible acting. They have a lot of bad stuff that's similar between these two movies. But I figured it'd be fun to discuss these movies with you guys tonight because, there were movies that I was just interested in talking about. I never really got a chance to. Besides Evolution, I'll discuss that in a review. But I kind of wanted to put both of these movies in one stream. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. Thanks to the viewers that have been sticking through the live stream. You guys are troopers. I know I can repeat myself. I know I can drag it on. I know I can drag on, stuff like that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Explorer 4 is out. See you guys later.